Here's your First Warn Weather forecast first, sponsored by Anderson Collision Center. Visit driveanderson.com.
It is a hot one out there today. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and low 90s. We are back up to 91 degrees here in Rockford, 90 in Janesville, 89 in Poplar Grove, 90 in Woodstock, 89 in Freeport, and 93 right now down in Dixon. We've had plenty of sunshine out there, but keeping an eye on some cumulus clouds that are starting to develop here, stretching from a little complex of thunderstorms to our southwest, right up through northern Illinois and back into southeast Wisconsin. That is out ahead of a cold front that may allow at least some isolated activity to develop here within the next couple of hours. So as we approach that 6 o'clock hour, I think we'll start to see at least a little blip on the radar start to show up, and then a few more widely scattered thunderstorms as we get closer to the midnight hour. It'll be another warm one tonight as temperatures only dip down into the 60s. We've got a few more thunderstorm chances at least throughout the day tomorrow. Timing those out and how hot the temperatures get into the weekend, all coming up in the First Warn forecast a little later.
Several people are dead following a shooting in Rock County. What Janesville police are confirming about the incident.
Plus, animal shelters in the state line beyond are struggling with space issues, a reason local shelters are citing for the cause behind this dilemma.
And recognizing Rockford as a World War II heritage city, the group working to get the special designation.
Live from WTVO 17. This is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Wendell Edwards. We thank you for being here. Tonight at 5, what police are describing as a family problem has left 3 people dead and 1 critically injured.
Officials have now confirmed the one survivor does have life-threatening injuries. Just after 11 this morning, Janesville police were called to the Aspen Square apartments on North Pontiac Drive. Officers were initially called for a domestic incident before gunshots were heard inside the building. Police entered the apartment to find 3 adult victims dead. A 4th was quickly taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Janesville's police chief says they cannot share much more information at this time, but assures the community they're safe.
The one highlight I do want to express to the community and all those who are listening into this matter is that we can confirm at this point there's no threat to or community safety concerns or threats to the community. That scene is safe, and we're still continuing to investigate the matter.
This is a developing story, and we'll bring you more information as soon as it's released. Eyewitness News is committed to helping survivors of all forms of violence. We have a list of resources available in the area. You can find those by going to our website, mystateline.com, and clicking on the State Line Strong tab.
Rockford crews returned to a home today for heavy smoke this afternoon after the same house caught fire early this morning. The house is located on Washington Street, a few houses north of Sam's Pizza on Charles. The rekindling, investigators say, began this afternoon around 1 p.m. Crews were first called to that home, though, just before 4:30 in the morning. Officials say a family was sleeping when one member smelled smoke and discovered embers coming from the ceiling. Crews were able to put out the fire, but at least at that time, no one was injured, but all who lived there were displaced. Now, officials believe faulty wiring was the cause. What you're looking at right now is footage of this afternoon's fire when it rekindled, and we're still working to learn more about that.
Over a dozen people are without a home after a fire in DeKalb this morning. Around 5:30, DeKalb firefighters were called to a residential building on Greenbrier Road. They arrived to find smoke coming from inside. Crews were able to get the blaze under control in about 25 minutes. One person was taken to the hospital. Damage is estimated at $50,000. Animal shelters across the country and here in the state line are running out of space. This comes as more pets are being surrendered and fewer are being adopted. Eyewitness
News reporter Tyler Swenson talked with Winnebago County Animal Services about what it's experiencing. Tyler, what did they say?
Yeah, Mimi, Wendell, they said that they're seeing surrender requests on the daily, but they're trying to prioritize surrenders that are needed most. Now, in total, Winnebago County Animal Services has over 100 dogs in their care, with the shelter saying that a lot of the reasoning why people are surrendering the animals are due to economic reasons, along with the number of animals in their care getting inflated due to adoptions slowing nationwide.
I just think people are going through really hard, tough times right now, and it's just a little bit more difficult for people to keep their pets in tough economic situations and things of that sort. And adoptions have slowed nationwide, and so we've seen that a little bit here as well too, that our length of stay is a little bit longer than it was years ago. Our populations have been consistently high, and so all that we can do is just try to continue to find outcomes for the pets in our care and reach out to the community and let them know what's going on as well.
Now, in some cases, people are also dumping animals that they cannot take care of, and you'll hear more about that in my full story coming up at 6. Wendell.
Tyler, we'll see you then. Midway Village is working to get the greater Rockford area a new historical designation. The museum is partnering with Veterans Memorial Hall to prepare an application to the National Park Service to designate the Forest City as an official World War II heritage city. Officials believe the area being home to U.S. Army Camp Grant Base, 5 national USO organizations in the McChesney Airfield, makes the region a worthy candidate. We spoke with museum officials about why they feel this designation is so important.
We had some World War II veterans come out who had served in Camp Grant and in the war, and so there's a nice impact there that these families can feel that the stories are still alive, that were so important to their family. And as I said, the Rockford community is very diverse. There's a very rich history here.
No word on the application process, but we do know the National Park Service established this program in 2019 to recognize the United States' involvement in World War II.
An Illinois lawmaker was in Rockford today reminding students about the importance of reading. A kickoff rally at the Girls and Boys Club on Kilburn was put on by State Senator Steve Stadelman for his annual Summer Book Club. Students who live within the senator's district are challenged to read at least 8 different books over the summer. Those who meet that goal will be invited to a pizza party in August. Stadelman believes encouraging kids to read while they're young will help combat illiteracy.
Literacy is so important, not only in academics and just making sure kids succeed, but just a healthy and happiness in life. I mean, if you're not reading, if you struggle to read, it's very difficult. You know, studies have shown that if kids are falling behind in 3rd grade, when it comes to reading, they struggle the rest of their academic lives.
To sign up for the Reading Challenge, you can find information at any local public library in Rockford, Loves Park, Cherry Valley, or Belvedere.
A new park will be coming to Freeport thanks to a $50,000 grant. The new Pocket Park will be built in the space of a vacant city-owned lot on West Stevenson Street in downtown Freeport. The Pretzel City was selected among a list of about 1,000 communities nationwide for T-Mobile's quarterly hometown grant. Freeport Mayor Jody Miller says she's extremely grateful the city was chosen for this grant and hopes the new park will bring new life to downtown.
Lawmakers nationwide are still reeling following the shootings of 2 Minnesota lawmakers over the weekend.
When we come back, the bipartisan effort to increase safety for elected officials.
And coming up tonight at 6, Rockford Fire continues plans of succession following the departure of the chief. The next steps for the department and its ongoing search for a new chief.
Our temperatures today made it into the low 90s, up to 92 degrees this afternoon. It was a hot one, but that kind of prepares us for some of the heat we've got heading into the weekend. But before that, a few showers and thunderstorms, at least trying to develop across parts of the area later tonight. Timing those out in the first warn forecast a little later.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Mimi Murphy, Wendell Edwards, Sports Director Scott Leber, and Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
The deadly shooting targeting 2 Minnesota lawmakers is sending shockwaves throughout Capitol Hill.
Now, public officials are really concerned about the security for public officials, so they're making some changes. Rashad Hudson has the latest from Capitol Hill.
It was unsettling, and you know, you wonder why your name's on the list.
Ohio Congressman Greg Landsman says the man accused of killing a Minnesota state lawmaker had his name on a list of other potential targets. Federal prosecutors call it a politically motivated attack.
Public servants should never have to fear for their lives simply for doing their job.
Senate leadership held a bipartisan security briefing Tuesday. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says Democrats and Republicans agreed more money is needed to increase protection for members of Congress.
These violent acts are an attack not just on the individuals who are targeted, but on our democracy itself.
Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy was a part of the briefing. He says safety is a concern across the board.
We have to recognize that across society there are people who are deranged and angry.
The House is in recess this week, so members attended a virtual security briefing, also focused on safety here on Capitol Hill and at home.
Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville says he was the victim of a recent threat.
I had a car in front of my house several times a couple of weeks ago when only my wife was there.
He and landsmen say something needs to change.
All of it has to stop. We have to be part of a group of leaders, Democrats, Republicans, that just does everything that's necessary to end this.
Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson.
Back here in the state line, we reached 90s in parts of the area today.
And you can really feel the heat when we come back. Candace lets us know how long these temperatures could last in her full forecast coming up next.
Now, your First Warn weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
It's a hot one out there today. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and low 90s. We're back up to 91 here in Rockford, 88 in Freeport, 90 in Janesville, 92 in Dixon, Woodstock, 90 right now in Harvard, and 89 our current temperature in Poplar Grove. Our weather watcher Terry down in Genoa, 92 degrees, a light westerly wind. That dew point temperature up into the mid 60s, so feels a bit on the muggy side out there. And that higher moisture along with the sunshine we had today helping to fuel at least some showers and thunderstorms, especially off to our west and southwest. Now, something I wanted to point out here on our SkyTrack camera, this is out in Poplar Grove, brought to us by the Poplar Grove Airport. We can see some of those clouds starting to build up. So we had lots of sunshine today, but there's a cold front sitting just up to the north of us. And with that sunshine, it's allowed instability to build. There's no cap, there's no lid on the atmosphere. So now we're starting to see, as we've gotten closer to and a little beyond that peak heating of the day, these cumulus clouds starting to develop. Maybe you've noticed them develop here over the last few hours. They've been more focused down to the south and central and southern Illinois, but within the last couple of frames, we can see those clouds bubbling up here on our visible satellite, along with some clouds extending from an area of low pressure and then some thunderstorms down across northeast Missouri, moving into west central Illinois. So what's going on with this? Well, there's a cold front up to the north right now. This is a slowly southward sinking front moving into southern Wisconsin. We've got an area of low pressure, this upper level low, moving out from Iowa into Missouri, and that's where we've got those thunderstorms. But the combination of these two features, along with that heating of the day and the instability, is why we're seeing those clouds build up. And within the next couple of hours, as perhaps we get closer to about 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, we may see an isolated shower or thunderstorm. It would be isolated with that during that time, fire up here through sunset. Now, with any storm, should it develop, may have some smaller hail and perhaps some gustier winds, just as that thunderstorm kind of collapses down on itself. But the overall severe threat stays fairly low. So when we put this together on Futurecast, I think this model has a pretty good handle on what we're seeing right now as far as our current conditions and what we could see over the next couple of hours. So here's that line kind of developing along that cold front. But watch what happens as we get closer to about 9, 10 o'clock tonight. That cluster of storms in west central Illinois will drift to the northeast and should give us at least some widely scattered activity as we get closer to about 10, 11 o'clock here tonight for some of us before we dry things out heading into the overnight ahead of our next low pressure system, which again would bring us that threat for a few stronger thunderstorms, especially if we're able to see some clearing take place early in the day. The position of that low could put at least part of the area in a higher risk for a storm or two, and I'm thinking perhaps a little further to the south. So how does this then play out with that low? Well, it works in from the southwest, lifting to the northeast tomorrow morning. We've got some rain showers showers that'll hopefully hold together and approach as we reach that noon hour. But it's along the southern fringe of that where we would see that better clearing take place, and then any little thunderstorms developing. By far, I think the highest threat for severe weather going to be to our east and southeast tomorrow. It's just where the better dynamics are, but there's a small window midday where we may see some of that activity, and that would put us late morning into the early afternoon. After that, things fairly dry here through Thursday, Friday, maybe a slight chance early Friday with the arrival of a warm front. But guys, you can see that warm front will bring our temperatures several days of those 90s and little relief. This is important, little relief coming at night with those overnight lows in the 70s.
Thank you, Candace.
Scott's next with sports. Cubs manager Craig Counsell will describe what makes Pete Crow-Armstrong so special.
Now sports with sports director Scott Lever.
It'll be fun times at Wrigley Field these next 3 days and nights with the Brewers on the north side to face the Cubs. They are currently 5.5 games behind the Cubs. Tonight's a key game for the Cubs to get because the next 2 days they have to face Jason Mizorowski and Freddie Peralta. Pete Crow-Armstrong continues to impress with his all-around play for the Cubs, and that's why he's leading all National League outfielders in voting for the All-Star game. Craig Counsell says PCA's defense in center field is unmatched.
The great players make very difficult things look fairly easy, and I think we're seeing that with Pete on a number of occasions. The pitchers are loving it. I know that. A ball goes up in center field, and then you feel like Pete's going to run it down. And it just ends innings, it ends rallies, it conserves pitches. It's a big deal.
He is special. Now, the White Sox are going to host the Cardinals tonight. Both teams are struggling. The Sox have lost their last 5 games. The Cardinals have dropped 7 of their last 8. Several of our local high school baseball players have earned all-state honors from the Illinois High School Baseball Coaches Association. In Class 1A, Richard Carlson of South Beloit and Luke Madigan of Lena Winslow make the team. Leewin's Aiden Wild earned honorable mention. In Class 2A, Austin Castaneda of Rock Falls and Braden Knoll of Byron make the all-state team. In Class 3A, Noah Summers of Freeport makes the all-state team. And in Class 4A, Harlem's Finn Stovall makes the all-state team. Great job, men. Well, the hockey season could end tonight. At least that's what the Florida Panthers are hoping. They can clinch the cup with another win on their home ice against the Edmonton Oilers. The Panthers are trying to get back-to-back championships. It would also mean another cup for former Ice Hog Gustav Forsling. The Oilers are in desperation mode, and they're going back to Stuart Skinner in goal tonight. In the NBA, the Thunder will try to clinch the championship Thursday night in Indiana. The odds look heavily in their favor. They've won the last 2 games, and Pacers guard Tyrese Halliburton is hobbled with a strained calf. He says, though, he'll definitely play Thursday.
I mean, it's NBA Finals. It's the finals, man. I've worked my whole life to be here, and I want to be out there to compete, help my teammates any way I can. It's not really a thought of mine to not play here. If I can, walk, then I want to play. So
we'll have Thursday's game for you once again on WTVO at 7:30. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Well, we definitely had some heat out there today. The First Warning Interactive Radar brought to us by Rockford Glass and More. So far, fairly quiet, but keeping an eye on some of those clouds that have developed here over the last couple of hours. They may continue to grow to at least allow some isolated activity across northern Illinois before sunset. After that, we might see a few additional showers and storms, then again on Wednesday.
Thank you, Candace.
And thanks for watching. We'll see you again at 6.